how do I avoid walking back into something that maybe is at that level? What should I have done different? What should I do next time that I'm interviewing to kind of sniff this out in advance
Okay,
so
that's
I don't
good.
repeat my mistakes?
Yeah. There's one thing I value, it's real talk. Hey, I'm so excited to be here today with Lora Vaughn. Laura, I cannot wait to get into some real talk. Tell everybody about you before we dive in.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm really glad to be here. So, I have been in the cybersecurity field for pretty much my entire career. I don't like to say it, but 20 plus years at this point. But I've spent time leading programs from the technical route all the way up to senior leadership. Most recently as chief information security officer.
That's awesome. So, did you always know that you wanted to be a security professional? Like 20 years ago, I was here.
It was a different thing then. We called it information assurance.
Okay.
We cybersecurity, like when we started calling it cybersecurity, there were a lot of us, myself included, who were kind of like, "Oh, that sounds so hokey."
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
but
Oh, that's
it
what we're calling it now. That's what I spend most of my career going, "Oh, yeah, that's what we're calling it now."
yeah, things change. No, I knew I wanted to do something with computers, so I was taking programming classes in high school, and
Okay.
my teacher was like, there's these scholarship for service things going on. You should look into it. Well, I had missed the deadline. It was my senior year, and I didn't get to apply for it, but I got exposure to, there's there's like this information security and computer security field out there that I hadn't really had exposure to other than the
Okay.
movie Hackers. So, or what was it? Sneakers.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
about it. And I
I
was
think
like,
I may be way older than you at this point. You may have just confirmed it.
uh, but like, this is a thing. So you can go and like fight against the people who are trying to break in and keep people from doing unintended consequences. So it was really interesting to me to be kind of like a computer cop, essentially.
Okay.
I like puzzles. I like solving problems. I like taking things apart and putting them back together, hopefully without too many leftover parts.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
security sounded really interesting. So
That's amazing.
I was really fortunate. I went to Birmingham Southern College, which
Okay.
unfortunately closed down. I guess that's about 2 years ago now. But I had the great opportunity to be able to kind of do self-directed learning.
Okay.
So, like my senior capstone type of project, I installed Snort inline on the
Okay.
network. It was brand new. They had only had the passive Snort up until that point, and I went to my professor and said, "Hey, we know that we have a problem with some of this stuff going on the campus network. I'd like to put this on the campus network as my senior project to prove it can be done." And he was like, "Let's do
Wow.
it." Um,
That's great.
so that was my introduction. I was real popular because we shut down some Ware servers on campus and a lot of the LimeWire and Kazaa and all those things that were going on at the time.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
We were shutting some of that down. It was really a risk mitigation type of
yeah.
approach there.
Well, I've always felt like, and you mentioned this earlier too, like I've always felt like the security professionals, and I know you guys have hundreds of specialties inside of it, just like data analytics, but like you guys get a bad rap and it's super unfair when your whole goal is to protect. And we both know John Bird. He posted something this morning, and I was like, I just was all over it, you know. So you guys get a bad rap sometimes, but you really don't deserve it. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who just say no because they don't want to be bothered, right? Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
fool with that. I don't have time to get into that. Like, I know you think you need that, but we don't have time to do it. Like, there are people who would do that.
Mhm.
But I think there's a lot of really intentional and thoughtful security professionals who really those questions are not, I don't want to give it to you. I'm asking you so I can figure out how to give it to you.
I think the area where most security folks could improve most is on how you handle those situations.
Mm,
As I've spent a lot of time with some of my teams going, don't tell someone no. Go, well, what are you trying to do? Like
yes.
you might see a ticket come in or a request come in for like box to be able to do file share externally and go, well, what are you trying to do? Do you do
Yeah.
this because a client has set something up, you need to go access it? Or are you trying to share documents? Because if you're trying to share documents, we own something already. And let me
Yes.
point you to the solution that already exists. But so much of that and why we get a bad reputation is because we go, no, you can't have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's instead of taking the time to explain and ask, well, what are you looking to do? Because people come with a solution because they know about it. They heard about it, somebody else is
Yeah.
using it, whatever, and they think this is the only way to get it done because they're not technical. It's not their job. They just
Right.
are trying to
Right.
solve a problem. I don't want to stop them from solving a problem. I just want to help them solve it the right way.
Yeah. Without creating more problems,
Right.
which is where the risk and vulnerabilities come in, right? Like
Yeah.
we introduce stuff into our network. And we do a lot of for years, like the first Windows operating system I ever educated on was Windows 95. So, and I've seen lots of office suites, and we have helped organizations migrate through those. And I always find it so fascinating because people, they need these tools, like they need a box or they need external sharing. And because they don't know the capabilities inside their organization, they will seek out those tools.
Mhm.
And unless there's something on the network to control it, to prevent it, like I worked for the bank once, we used to get a hand.
Hey,
If we hit a website, it was a hand. And I was like, oh Lord, I'm reporting. I got the hand. Like,
fun
I got the
fact,
hand.
I was the hand
You were the
for
hand.
for a long time.
Well, okay. Well, your hand intimidated me because I was like, no, I'm just trying to find research. Like, literally, I would email IT and say, hey, I received the hand today, but here's exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, but end users will go seek out tools, right? And they are expressing a need for those things. I think it's thoughtful of you to like, what are you trying to do? And making sure we don't already have something, a provision that you could use. Because I know I tell people all the time, like, yeah, but if we use OneDrive and then someone leaves the organization, you don't have to go untangle their personal
Yeah.
Google Drive that they just put all the company information in, you know. So we're doing that on our side too to help support you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, security, we're viewed as a cost center. That's because we don't
Mm-hmm.
typically make money.
Mm-hmm.
So you always have to come at these problems to say, what is the best approach here? Maybe not what is perfect. You can't be a purist. Too many people in security see everything as black or white. If it's
Okay.
not perfect, it's not worth doing. And reality is there is no perfect in this world. And
No.
if we create perfect, that means I've taken everything, I've shut it down, I've buried it in concrete so no one can use it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the business can't operate. At the end of the day, I've got to be able to make it so the business can operate within its risk tolerance to mitigate the most important risks to the level where we want to be comfortable. That way, we're not impeding business. Because if we end up doing some of these things, it's going to be dang near impossible for people to do their jobs and make
Yes.
money for the business.
Yeah. I don't think people look at it like they're not coming out full and looking at the bigger, broader picture of, I mean, you say security is a cost center. I I hope organizations realize the cost savings of the things that didn't happen. And even on the personal population inside an organization too, they're also at risk depending on what they're responsible for and what they let out. And yeah, we definitely are going to have to come back together and have a stronger, deeper security conversation. But hey, everybody, this is Laura. This is why she's here today, to have some real talk. So everybody who comes on as a guest in this season of Real Talk gets the same questions, and it's all about pivots, but not like pivot tables, but pivots that we make through our career. And I'll share in this episode, like I've shared in every one of them. I think it is so important that we talk about how we got into the roles that we're in and the amount of pivots and change that we had to go through, because we have to change in tech all the time. And now in our workforce and in our tools, we're facing all this massive change. So I feel like it's just going to be really good for our audiences to literally hear about the career pivot. So I'm going to just dive right on in to our first one, which is, what are some of your earliest career related pivots?
I think the biggest example is early in my career. I started out, I worked for one of the big consulting firms. I got a plane every Monday morning and went, oh, I cannot do this. I flew out of DFW every Monday morning to a client in the northern area of the Midwest and lived out of a suitcase every week and went, oh, this is not for me.
Yeah. Okay.
I was figuring out what my exit was going to be, and I got a job offer with a government agency, and okay, this is a dream job. This is what I want to do. But I got there, I was learning a ton, but I was kind of a round peg in a square hole.
Okay.
It was the joke there is, how do you tell the extroverts from the introverts? The extroverts look at your shoes, not their own. It was challenging, and
I'm using that joke for the remainder of my life. That's great.
like, and being a young woman in that scenario, like there were men who wouldn't look at me when they talked to me, and it was really hard for me to lean into my strengths and being
Okay.
analytical and communicating and some of those things. I was like, I just wasn't happy. I was like, I can't keep living here. I can't
Okay.
keep it in this life. So I've got to do something different. So like I was considering going to get a teaching certificate to teach. That was
Okay.
how much I hated what I was doing at the moment, and the whole experience. I ended up finding a contract role where I was the complete opposite of being totally hands-on technical, to where I was doing pure risk analysis,
Okay.
being kind of an information security liaison with the local energy company in that area. And I overcorrected. It was so much peopling that I was like, oh, this is not quite it.
I want to go back to looking at my own shoes again.
Yeah, I was like, okay, there's a happy medium somewhere.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I was living up in like the East Coast, and I was like, I'd like to get back closer to family, get back down south
Okay.
where I fit a little more in the culture, and landed a job at one of the banks here in Birmingham, and
Okay.
found the right mix. I found a place where I could be who I was. I
Okay.
I didn't have to sugarcoat everything. I could be my direct self. Anyone who knows me knows I am direct. I'm not unkind, but if you're not expecting it, it can be a little unnerving, and I
Well, it's
understand that.
okay. We're blunt.
Yeah, I was like, but I could be me. People were, it was kind of that in between. It wasn't, oh, we're all just so in the weeds that we don't talk to anybody, and we can't look at you when we talk to you. But I wasn't spending every day talking to people, delivering training, and going, hey,
Okay.
don't do something on your computer that you wouldn't want your mama to see. Like
Yeah.
really basic stuff. So it was a good blend, and I
Okay.
got to tinker with a lot of different technology and lean
So
into
when you
some
were
of it.
making this pivot though, were you like how much awareness of this pivot do you have now as compared to when you were in the midst of it? Were you
More
fully
now.
aware like of your like I'm making this like you were having this real thought? Because I mean, I wish I could say that about myself. I can't.
I mean, going out of the 100% travel, 100%, I knew, oh, this is not sustainable.
Okay.
This is terrible. And there's more into the reasons why I left that in particular. But I was like, okay,
Sure.
this is not what I want to do. This is not what I signed up for.
Okay.
I want to be in security. So
Okay.
that first pivot to get to the government agency was fantastic. And it set me up for success because that agency in my resume gives me a level of credibility that some people don't have the ability to get out the door,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
That's
is nice.
awesome. It's
Um,
one of the benefits of being willing to make a pivot
yeah,
and take on a little bit of risk, which you assess, right? Like, so you obviously don't mind a little risk in your career. And I often wonder, like, do people who are, are less put off by risk, are they more likely to pivot? And sometimes why people don't pivot is because of the risk or the lack of assurance on the other side. I think it takes a little bit of courage sometimes, or it can be by force, which is my next question for you, which is, have you ever faced a pivot that you really you didn't want to face it? It's like here it comes. But I don't really want to do this.
Yeah, in that scenario right now,
Okay.
when you've been in a situation where leadership changes and they change everybody,
Yeah,
that that happens,
does happen.
and it doesn't feel good by any means.
Yeah.
But the upside is the ability to sit back and go, well, what do I really want to do? Because I lived through some really rough experiences in the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yes.
how do I avoid walking back into something that maybe is at that level? What should I have done different? What should I do next time that I'm interviewing to kind of sniff this out in advance
Okay.
so
That's
I don't
good.
repeat my mistakes?
Yeah. So
Um,
you self-evaluate yourself. Are you super hard on yourself?
oh yeah,
Okay.
oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I can see
that's
why Claudia wanted us to get together.
yeah. I am my own worst critic. Uh,
Okay.
I always have been. That's how
Yeah.
I'm wired. So when I look back and go, oh yeah, I totally shouldn't have taken that job to begin with. And here's the things that I noticed on my first week in the job. I probably should have done something different immediately.
Okay.
So when you look back at it, go, okay, well, let me reverse engineer this to figure out what could I have asked in those interviews to help me identify that I was walking into a very bad situation for me.
So do you have any insight on like how do we express to people like you have to go self-analyze each. I'm a data analyst, so like the analysis of myself is natural to me, right? But I think people could benefit from hearing like how do you analyze a past situation? Does your brain kick in? Do you have like a framework you follow? Like how do you apply the risk analysis techniques that you use in security to also assess like your own personal situation? I'm just curious.
I don't really have a formal process for this.
Okay.
At least not to like I don't consciously have one, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
I'm wired to be analytical. All, everything. I'm a checklist person. I'm a,
Okay.
like when you don't have a job to go to every day, that really messes with someone who is a checklist person.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm sure.
I have my list. Here's what I'm going to do today. Here are the things that need to get done. Like my home projects are amazing. They're basically done. It's fantastic. But that mentality naturally lends itself to me being able to go and say, okay, so what went wrong?
What went
Uh,
wrong?
for people that come up from like an agile perspective, doing a retro. Hey,
Okay.
we finished the project. Let's do a retro. What went
Okay.
right? What went wrong? What should we have changed? How do we avoid the problems that we ran into in the first place?
So in all of the situations you've been in, because you've had a stellar career and will continue to have a stellar career, how often are you going into situations where it's like, oh wow, this is cool. Let's do everything Laura Vaughn is suggesting we do here. Let's do the retro. Like let's really break this down and figure out where things went wrong. Like, how do people respond to that when there's a breach or we're not sure or something's happened?
Well, I think most people recognize the need to go back and look at how everything happened and how you
Hmm.
responded and what you did. The problem usually is we don't have time for that because we're moving on to the next thing.
Okay.
So it's so much, oh, I don't, yeah, that's in the past. I don't care. Let's just keep moving forward. So
That's tough.
I can control what is in my world. So it's like, okay, we're going to go back and we're going to dive through everything that we did
Okay.
and everything we know that occurred and figure out, are there things that we should have done differently to facilitate steering this in a better direction?
So, how important has it been for you to have mentoring and mentors throughout your pivots?
In some cases, I had them, and in some, I didn't.
Okay.
Early in my career, I really didn't have anybody guiding or helping me through the situation of, oh, I can't live in this world where people are so introverted they can't look at me, uh, to the opposite side. It was very much, okay, I'm just figuring this out as I go. I was in
Okay.
my, I was in my early to mid 20s,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I was just like, that's what you do. You just figure it out.
You figure it out. Well, I mean, well, not all people, Laura. Some people have that drive and personality, and they've been exposed to things that allow them to like navigate that world a little bit easy. But I don't think everybody. It's not been my experience that everybody just is a go getter.
Fair
They
enough.
want what a go getter has, and they want to figure out how to go get, but then sometimes they just don't. Like, if you were doing this 20 years ago, as was I, like, we just didn't have what we have today. Work was a lot harder because you had to find ways to get through things with some tools, but not nearly the tools and capacity that we have today. Yeah. Which is fun. So you had some mentors, not a lot of mentors.
I really didn't get the mentorship until I was with the bank, and they invested a lot of time and resources in leadership development and a
Okay.
lot of, like, I had a lot of great technology training when I was in the government space, and I was in a program where there's kind of built-in mentorship, kind of,
Okay.
but I wasn't wired like all them. I wasn't a core engineer. I wanted to go do the analytical things.
Okay.
So
Okay.
square peg round hole. So when I got into the corporate world, it's a little bit better because it's about problem solving.
Yes. Okay.
It's about, hey, we have to do this thing because, there's a business need, there's a regulatory requirement or whatever. It was, hey, we need to do this and we don't really know how. Well, I can go figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or hey, we have this software that no one's using. Well, why aren't they using it? They're like, well, it doesn't do what we need it to do. I'm like, well, can I go look at it?
I
And I
love
did.
that. You wrote about this. So and I can't remember which question this was, but I think it maybe is either something broke your expectations or you broke someone else's expectations with this one. But yeah, I do want you to talk about that story. I love that one. Tell us about breaking expectations
So
and
I
false
came in,
positives.
yeah, I came into this situation where I was brand new at the job, and the company had just gone through a major merger, and there were all these different tools, and we're trying to figure out, what do we keep, what do we get rid of? And there's this one piece of software. It was called Vericept, and if you've been in the space for a while, you may recognize that as one of the first data loss prevention platforms that existed.
Okay.
It was really more data loss detection,
Okay. Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
didn't necessarily stop things. It just went, hey, you have a problem over here. Go check it out.
Go
Um,
look.
but I came in and like, oh, that thing's just nothing but false positives. And it's worthless. We're not going to renew it. It's like, well, can I take a look at it? Let me have access. Let me see what we can do with it. And I got in there and went, oh, well, they just turned everything on the default settings. No wonder it's garbage. Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out.
So, okay, it was looking at all inbound and outbound network traffic, and also some internal to internal traffic. I went, okay, well, sensitive data going internal to internal isn't that big of a deal. It's kind of expected. We're still in the time frame when email wasn't always encrypted.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's tune that out, and we'll focus on the stuff that's leaving first, and started kind of narrowing it down, and actually built a program around people doing really silly things on the internet at work that they shouldn't do. I have lots of inappropriate stories there.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was interesting times, and nobody had smartphones at the time either, so it
Yeah.
was it was wild, just
Yeah.
the wild west. And
Yes. I'm scared. I'm scared of that.
yeah, so just for the reminder for everyone, I feel like I have to make the public service announcement. If you're at work and you want to look up something that someone might raise an eyebrow, that you wouldn't want your boss or your mom or your kids or your pastor to see, use your phone. Don't do it on your work computer. Pet peeve. Sorry.
Or if you're If it's a work phone, don't do it on your work phone either.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there's
you do
that.
on your personal device. I'm
Use
used
your
to having
personal
I,
device.
I'm used to having a personal device only. So yeah. Anyway, so I tuned this thing down and ended up, we found where we had broken business processes, where we had unencrypted connectivity to partners and we're sending sensitive data. So we were going and finding those things and fixing them. So we brought immediate value just by taking the time to go look at the thing and go, oh, it just needs a little care and feeding.
Yeah, we just need to pick around in it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was a software you had never used before.
Mm, yeah.
And so I love the fact that you get in and you figure out pretty quickly it's the configuration.
I,
Yeah.
I feel like in the technology space, especially a lot of us who kind of got into it because we were just curious,
Yeah.
that I've never had much formal training in software platforms
Mhm.
because I can just click around and figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Well,
might,
but part of that is because we've been clicking around for 25 years when there were like way less things to click around on.
yeah, it's, I think it's a little bit of that risk aversion
Mm-hmm.
versus risk tolerance
Mm-hmm.
that some people are so afraid they're going to mess something up. They don't want to click around because
Yes.
they might break something. Whereas I have no fear. I go, well, there's nothing that I can break so badly that it's irrecoverable.
Oh, well, let's see. I feel the same way. But people like back in the day in Windows 95 days, like you could actually break the computer.
Yeah, you could.
And so, and then people would design software and they wouldn't like fully think through the human on the other side of the software, and then software would break. And so, when something happened on a screen for a lot of people that they didn't anticipate, they wrote off all software in their brain.
Yeah.
All software is scary. But like that would not be something you would want to see in your technical department,
Yeah.
right? You want your technical department to be like, okay, let's go see how this thing is configured. Let's go see all these settings. I just think it's interesting because that's like one of the very first places I go when I look at any new software is like there's parts of the screen I know to go look at, and then I'm digging into what kind of settings are set on
Yeah.
this thing. That's awesome. So
It
that was
is
a big
amazing.
win for you in your
It was.
career.
It really was. And I repeated that process over time to go, hey, there's a thing that's broken. I made the reputation for myself of give it to Laura, she'll get it fixed.
So this is a great like you broke their expectations, right? Like they're thinking, yeah, that doesn't really do. Somebody sells software that software solves all your problems. They bought it, they implemented it, they didn't configure it. Now you've configured it. Now it's perfect, it's wonderful. And so yeah, you broke their expectations. I'm interested in when have you had your expectations broken? And I say this because this is silly for me. I've had my expectations broken a lot throughout my career, pretty much from the beginning of it. But I wrote the story about this red kangaroo, and I grew up believing kangaroos were lovely and cuddly and so soft. And then I saw this very violent, I don't even know how it made it into my feed meme of this kangaroo. And it was like, wait, what? This is not what I grew up with. Like, where is the cuddly part of this thing? There was no cuddly part of it. It just like really shattered my expectations. And I wrote about it because I thought it was a great way to talk about data breaking expectations. So, is there a time that you can reflect where your expectations were broken or spectacularly broken? Maybe
That's
the
a,
100% travel.
that's a really, really good example. That might be where I go because that's a hard question. Like when I think about my expectations, I've always been one who's been wired to set low expectations. Like
Okay.
if I expect the worst, then they'll be exceeded always. Even though I hope that we get to that bar, that I go
Interesting.
that I kind of say, hey, minimum viable product is where I'm aiming for, and if we go past that, it's a win. That's I don't know why I am that way, but I am. But really, that first job that I got working for the consulting company, yeah, my dad had been a consultant. My dad traveled a
Mhm.
ton. We moved a ton when I was a kid. We never kept more than a 6-month lease anywhere. We were
Okay. Okay.
always moving. So I've lived in like 8 states and like coast to coast. It's a little different experience
Yeah.
childhood. So I was like, oh, 100% travel. That's not so bad. Like I can do that. And I can be based out of Dallas. And my dad did this my whole childhood. So I was like, oh, I
Yeah,
knew he was gone. He'd be home. He'd leave Monday, come home Thursday night or Friday morning, whatever, had the weekends. And okay, I can do that. I think the moment I realized that I wasn't going to be able to handle it, I was doing very basic uh, technical consulting. I was writing like Excel macros.
okay,
And like I had a computer science degree. I could code in C and C sharp, and C plus or C plus plus at the time, and some Java. And then me doing Visual Basic, and I was like, oh, this is not what I signed up for. And I'm
yeah,
living out of a suitcase. And the day that it really hit me was when I always ordered room service because I didn't want to walk to some of the areas. I didn't feel real safe.
sure, sure.
So the room service person who had been delivering my food for the last 2 months, basically every night of the week, comes in and says, you need to eat more. And I went, oh,
Mm,
because I always would eat a salad with chicken or whatever. And they
yeah.
went, you don't eat enough. I was like, I'm sorry.
Huh. Who
And
are you again?
right. And I'm like 22, 23 at
Yeah,
this point. And in my head, I'm going, that's not appropriate. But I did not have words to tell that person to mind their own business.
yeah,
I just
yeah,
went, just
yeah.
leave
But
my,
they basically thought they were living with you.
yeah,
They'd
uh,
seen you
yeah.
every day for 2 months. I had a job where I had 30% travel, and I was excited. And I realized, okay, that means 30% of my year I'm going to be traveling. 30% of my life I'm not going to be home. But at that time, I was free to do that as much as I wanted to. So I loved it. Um, it was just the right amount for me. But then I had a boss that came to me and then increased my travel to 80%.
Oh, oh,
And I had just gotten married at that time, no longer married, but I had just gotten married at that time in my career. And I was like, I can't be gone 80% of the time. And now I travel. I mean, I don't know, I probably travel more than 30%, but man, it is not glamorous to be in airports.
no.
Especially right now. It's like every time I fly, it's like I'm either going to get there late on my way there, or I'm gonna get home late on the way back. I can't seem to get anywhere for less than 12 or 13 hours when it really should be 2.5. I don't, you know. So yeah, it is hard. And I cannot even fathom going into 100% travel and then realizing, oh no, this is
That's
not what I
also
want
where
to
I
do.
realized that I have really terrible luck with airlines and with TSA regulations changing because I flew the day they instituted the no shoes rule. I
Okay.
flew I flew the day they instituted the no liquids rule.
Okay.
Um, I've I've hit all the weird little quirks in travel. There's a gate at DFW that's cursed because that's where I
I
flew
believe
out of
that.
every Monday morning, and I had so many issues. I have so many travel stories, and most people that have worked with me refuse to travel with me because it's usually when I'm doing work travel, not personal travel.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough. I cannot imagine doing 100% travel. I really don't think people really realize what 100% travel actually means. And I'm not sure they understand like even what 30 or 40.
Yeah.
That's a lot of travel. But if you like that and you're in a place where you can do it, it's probably very rewarding. I'm just too old to be in a tin can all the time and sitting on the tarmac for a couple of hours. It's just not how I want to spend my time. I've gotten to where if I can drive there, I'm gonna drive there. If I can afford the time to drive there, I'm gonna drive there just to avoid having to be in an airport. But I've done this for 25 years. It seems worse these days
But it's
than
worse when you don't
ever.
it's worse when you don't live in a hub city.
Mm,
Like if you live in one of the hubs, it's not as bad because you can get a direct almost anywhere.
yeah,
If you live in Birmingham, you got to go to Atlanta or
yeah,
Dallas or
yeah,
Chicago or Charlotte. And
yeah.
no thanks.
But you can make a quick trip up to Houston, which I love to go to Houston, Texas, and see my friends there in Houston and Helen Wall. She's another LinkedIn learning author.
Yeah.
So we can get there pretty quick. We can get to Chicago pretty good. New York is supposed to be pretty easy to get to, but that was not my experience getting.
Yeah, my husband had a similar experience on the direct.
Yeah, didn't really. It
But
wasn't very direct. I'll just say that.
for Houston, as long as I'm flying to hobby, I grew up in Southwest Houston. So as long as I'm
Okay.
flying to hobby, I'm happy. If I have to go to Intercontinental or Bush now,
Yeah.
that's also got a couple circles of hell in it.
Yeah, I like I fly into hobby. I just enjoy that flight's never been a problem for me. It's just some of the other ones as we go through. So, as technical people, we do a lot of technical things, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes problems are fixed not by a highly complex technical solution, but yet a thoughtful approach. So, have you fixed a problem? And do you have a framework for how you fix problems that maybe, didn't have a technical fix? Or it was maybe a different technical fix than people expected?
I'm going to start out by saying if you think there's a better way, there is. You just haven't found it yet.
Oh my God, Claudia Powell, shout out. She like every little phrase you say, I'm like, okay, I see Claudia. I can see Claudia cheering when this episode comes out. Yes, if you're thinking there's a better way, there likely is one.
Yeah. And
Okay, sorry,
follow,
continue as I fangirl over here.
yeah, followed closely by work smarter, not harder. So, growing up, my dad studied industrial engineering, which is very much about process.
Mm,
So I have been trained since a very young age to go, well, why'd you do it that way? It would have been easier and more efficient if you did it this way. So, 5-year-old Laura was being taught, no, don't do it that way. What's a better way to do that?
yeah.
So that's just been ingrained into me. So one of the things that really the biggest situation that redoing a process worked was I was running the application security testing practice for the bank, and we had spreadsheets. Anytime you're managing things off the spreadsheets, think, how could I do this better? Because there is always a better way than putting it in a spreadsheet, especially in the days when you didn't have OneDrive and SharePoint to keep a
Oh
relative
yeah,
quality.
yeah, yeah.
Or you could use,
SharePoint gets a bad rap like the security professionals though.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, keep
So
going.
we had an Excel spreadsheet that was on a shared drive on the network share, and get locked, so people would create like 6 or 7 different versions, and like the whole system was broken. So the flow needed to be, hey, we have this new product, or a new release for this product that's coming up. Our anticipated ship date is X. Engineering backward, we need to have security testing and penetration testing performed 3 to 4 weeks prior to implementation, so we have time to fix anything and
Right.
retest beforehand. Okay, seems simple enough, but when you're working off of a spreadsheet and those dates are changing and there's 6 versions of the spreadsheet and you don't even know all of the projects that are about to happen, it's just bad things happen. So
Well, yes, bad things can certainly. Yes, it's really not meant for that amount of change, right? Like it's good to present that information and to pass information, but like when you're describing it, I can just visualize the read only notify message popping up on the screen.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at the time, okay, what can we use that's easily accessible, that have somebody with the talent and the skill set that can build it out to make this better? I said, what, we have a SharePoint site we've been using for internal flows. So instead of having spreadsheets to track status, we had these SharePoint lists where I would have the team go, hey, here's your latest update, put it in this field, and it updates and it keeps the history. That was just my process at the time because that's what we had.
Yeah.
I said, well, went to the person that built that, and I was like, hey, could we do something for the testing flow? And she's like, yeah. How do you want to do it? So we got on the marker board. It's my favorite thing to do. I don't have one in here. I probably need to put one back behind me.
Yeah,
But we,
yes.
we just drew out, said, okay, so here's the things that happen. And we put all of our little boxes of here's the things that need to happen. How do we make this work? We need notifications. And when someone says, hey, this test is due to happen this week, we need to make sure we have people who can test at that time. So we had to be able to kind of
Yes.
move and adapt and shift. you needed credentials to access the application. Do we have credentials? So do we have that? Yes or no? And we had a process to store those off. But it allowed us to formalize that process
Mm-hmm.
in workflows that were repeatable and sustainable. And eventually it got to, okay, we've got this thing working reasonably well for the run of the mill stuff. Well, we built it, we set a new standard. It said, hey, if you haven't had your application tested in a year, it needs to be retested, even if you had no
Mm.
changes, because the threat landscape changed. So then you just add a new little checkbox, new timer to
Yeah.
go back and check it.
That sounds like data to me. As you know, some of your peers and I talk in meetings and group events where we discuss how data is very, very important to the worlds of security and security
Yeah.
professionals. I'm surprised at how many people don't adopt that type of mentality, Laura, because that's a free, like, it's not free, but like it's freely available. And all you have to do is be willing to go figure out what a SharePoint list is.
Yeah. But it's not blingy.
No, it's not blinging. It's very unglamorous.
So many times I've walked into organizations, come in as into a new role, and you have 30 tools. That's an exaggeration, but you have a whole bunch of tools and they overlap.
Mhm.
And it's because someone said, oh, this new thing can do X. So we keep buying tools to do a single function and we don't optimize it to do all the things that it can
Right.
or all the things that we need it to do for us. I don't mean you use everything, but once you get that overlap, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're spending money you don't really have. You can put that money to training, you can put it to services, you can put anything else. And then you have all these platforms, you have to get them to talk in a single language to go into your SIM. So your log platforms where you can go correlate logs and make sense of the
Yeah.
data. Just it's such a mess that if you can take a disciplined approach, you're far better off.
Oh yeah.
It
I totally agree.
but
And
it's consistent. You see that with processes, you see it with technologies, you see that with sometimes with people. Oh, I need more people. Well, maybe we need to retrain people or we need to focus people on different things.
yeah, right.
More people isn't always the solution.
So it's to me, it's rarely more people are the solution, and it's hardly never the software is the solution. To me, the solution is in the design
Mhm.
and the framework and the process and the procedure. I feel out of sorts when I don't have that to kind of lean in on. And I picked that up early in my career. I love process and procedure. I love workflow. I love watching data go through a process. And when somebody says, oh, I have a process, and I'm like, I just geek out on just trying to figure out where is all the data coming from at every single point. Like, and I love that I can see it that way.
Mhm.
And then I get frustrated when I talk to some technical professionals when you say, well, you can just put that in a SharePoint list. And they just act like, why are you using subpar tools? That's not a real fancy software. That's not real code. And it's like, it's solving the problem. It's already paid for. It's self-supported by the organization. What's wrong with it again?
Yeah.
I've always struggled with that. But people, they decide what fancy tech is, I guess.
Yeah, the resistance to SharePoint usage has always surprised me because it can be really powerful.
Yes. If you could see what we do with it, you would be like, wait, what? That's SharePoint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people, a common refrain that I say is sometimes people don't know how to get to good if they don't know what good looks like.
Mm.
If I can show someone, here's the goal, here's what good looks like. Imagine a world where all these things happen. Did you know that we have the tools to get there? We just got to build it.
Listen, you ever need to go take that message to someone, you just call me up. We'll go together arm in arm. Because that's my thing. I love that. I love that process. I love to work within the bounds of what the organization already has because it helps the technical teams, it helps the security teams, and it solves the problem. But we need to totally look at software a little bit differently than the software solves the problem or a gaggle of people. It's people and process with software
Mhm.
that it really gets good, especially if you put smart people like you on the team to have those conversations. Like I'm sure leaders need, like if we're working in non-technical companies, meaning they're not a tech company, then they need technical expertise around them because they're surrounded with technology. They're just not selling tech. It's
Yeah.
just it's a different type of vibe. And the older the organization is, like, okay, they've been around for a minute. They're going to have different challenges and they're going to have like their scales. Like they have to scale out. I love seeing people go from, well, this process used to work, but now it's just too big. It's like, okay, well, let's go to the moon. Let's just figure out what the next step can look like. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. All right, so at the end of every episode, which we're getting here, it's guest choice to discuss what's your data point. So as we close out, Lora, you've been a great guest today. I would love for you to share with everybody what is your data point.
I'm going to pick on phishing simulations.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of phishing simulations, the security training in general. Like there's a whole lot of arguments on this that I have with people because they don't work.
Yeah.
And we're actually starting to get the data to show that phishing simulations are making people worse at phishing.
That's scary.
They also breed distrust.
Yeah.
That, oh, security's trying to trick me into clicking a link again. Those mean old security people. And the bad thing is it's a necessary evil in regulated industries because now the regulators say thou shalt perform social engineering assessments. Cool. How do you balance that? And what are the metrics? Like the metrics that boards and executive leadership are used to seeing is click rate. What does that tell you? Because it depends on the scenario. If I send you a scenario that has a bunch of misspellings and it looks real hokey and it looks like it says it's Amazon, but it's got some real crappy graphics.
Yes.
Like you're probably going to report it as phishing. You're not going to click on it. So your click rate goes down. But if I build something sophisticated that looks like it's something that would come from your internal systems, people are more likely to click on it. I can engineer those assessments to get the click rate I want if I want.
Oh.
Right. So it's a broken process. And
Okay.
there's some really cool things that are starting to come up in the startup space around reinventing the wheel. Like NIST came out with this model called the fish scale.
Okay.
Which is cute.
It is cute.
That's a better kind of metric and way of thinking about things. I don't know that's going to actually do what we want it to do.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, if you click on a link, it's going to happen. We know people click links. We know people fall for phishing. We know that it happens all the time. You know what I want? I want to know that if someone clicks a phishing link, if it's simulated or it's real, that they go, oh crap, I shouldn't have clicked that. I need to tell somebody, and they're going to click report phishing. They're going to call the help desk. They're going to, contact security, however they do in their organization. So I want them to have the psychological safety to say, hey, I did a bad thing. You should know and know that they're going to be safe.
And then tell me how to never do it again. Like, yeah, like the whole hand thing for me. Like, I would get the hand. I would immediately report myself. And that's what you're describing.
Yeah.
Like, it's a safe place to do that.
Yeah. Because if someone is afraid, like I hear this a lot of times in certain industries where if you fail so many number of phishing assessments, you can be fired. Like that's intense.
Well, we're going to come back together and we're going to discuss security and we're going to discuss the bias. There's a lot of bias.
There is.
Because you said you can train those phishing simulations to be where you want to get your click rate. And that is definitely bias happening in real life, or as my kids would say, IRL. Yeah. I only know cool lingo because I have 20 and 21-year-old. I guess I really can't call them kids. They're adults now. Lora, this has been fantastic. I have enjoyed our conversation. I hope people will take this information and figure out what to do with it and then go watch your courses on LinkedIn Learning. That's so exciting to know that they can go follow you and learn from you. And I can't wait to see what you do in your next career pivot. Okay. I'll see you next time.